We've arrived for the final race in Season 3 of the ERL INDYCAR Series here in Gateway, St. Louis. And look who's on the pole. Bob Marino, for the first time since his days in Formula E, for the first time since his days driving for the Renault squad. He's on pole. Behind him, Max Bortkar and Dominic Hudson, who throughout qualifying locked heads and wound up with exactly the same time to the thousandth of a second, where Bortkar, who set his lap first, was able to hold second. Butler and teammate Wet Loco are 4th and 5th from Colby, Queel, Inocu, and our new ERL INDYCAR champion, Linus Eriksson. He's run a brilliant season so far, but starting down in 9th, one of his worst qualifying positions of the season as a whole. Would he be able to end Season 3 with one last hurrah? Pierre Gasly is behind him from Awful Catfish and Daft Sanchez, with Thornburg, Lamfong, Lebogton, Medvec, Kriel, Shen, Tommy, Akari, Milsos Micah, and Lewis Olsen being the 20 drivers on your starting grid. As for the drivers who are starting this race on the hards, you've got Thornburg in 13th, Shen in 18th, and Akari in 20th. They're all trying to do a longer strategy than those starting on the softs, which is the preferred tyre. But still, Gasly, Catfish, Colby, Loco, Butler, and even pole sitter Bob Marino have opted to start this race on the medium tyres, which teams have been saying is the favoured race tyre. In terms of the start, maybe considering that a lot of the personnel here in INDYCAR, they have been carried over from Formula E. Of course, we've had starts like this for the past 3 seasons now, so of course everything should be getting used to, but still, maybe some of the teams thinking, here in Gateway, St. Louis, the same location that held the World 500, but at the road course rather than the full oval, maybe some of the teams are expecting to see bigger and better things here in Gateway. You can see the drivers heading down into that chicane. It's one of the longer laps on the calendar, if not the longest. Despite this being quite speed heavy, we expect to see lap times in the 110s, maybe 109s if we're lucky, but not faster. The pace car is pulling into the pits at the end of this lap. One more round to go in season number 3 of the ERL INDYCAR Series. Mexico's Bob Marino in the 14 starts on pole for Meyer Shank Racing as they round the final turn for the final time in Season 3. Let's go racing! It's the ERL INDYCAR Series at Gateway! Already a move made by Eriksson as Tommy gets a 5-second time penalty. Linus, a man who needs to be on the move if he's going to finish this championship on a high, like his predecessors both did in Quanto Deroki and Max Bortkar. Here comes the Swedish driver looking for a move to get himself up into 6th. That's a good one. Up into 6th position. Made 3 positions in only the opening sector, but he's still having to hustle that Sims Motorsport man alongside him. Sims Motorsport, of course, becoming Manthe next season. And Colby holds on to 6th position. Meanwhile, out front, Bortkar and Marino, they are holding down the top 2 positions, with Hudson being effectively nowhere. Wek Loco, the rookie, driving car number 35 from Hungary. You can look back with him here, and he's got Linus Eriksson breathing down his neck. Gasly and Inocu trying to work as a little bit of a tandem pair to get past Oqui, but that's not working out. Here comes Loco, and the crowd absolutely going loco for the Hungarian, who takes 5th position. And the medium tyres definitely not being too much of a detractor as many teams might have thought. With the softs, you do need to make use of them immediately. These are not the tyres that you can save and gain track position on, as Hudson sets a 129.750. Maybe the predictions of a 110 not correct. That's really closing the door there from Linus. Is now under threat from Hong Kong's number 25. Inocu looking for a way to go around the outside. Can't get the move done. He's going to get attack mode here. You can see Daft Sanchez, who's moved up into 10th position. He is also going for some head tips, for some good points. Marino still leading the pack. The gap at about 9/10 of a second. Hudson looking for a way and does find his way alongside Max Bortcar at the very least. On board we go with car number 29, the reigning Drivers' Champion. And he's been passed by Dominic. Bob Marino with the fastest first sector of 41.616. Tommy making his way through the field as Thornburg's dropped a position from his starting spot. Here comes Max. He's moved back up into second. He goes alongside with man who started this race on pole. And while he hasn't been able to take the championship again this season, using attack mode, will he use push to pass in tandem 2? He doesn't have any in the battery left, but that doesn't matter. Max Bortcar takes the lead in Gateway on the final race in season number 3 on lap 3 of all things. Looking further back, that's Colby dropping down to 7th. Ericsson up into 6th. Now he's made his way into the top 6. He's now 4 seconds off of the race lead. Tracks like this in Formula E, this isn't really the type of track that you get to see raced on a lot in INDYCAR. So all we have to go off of is our time in Formula E, considering that this track is actually very similar to the track that Formula E uses in Vegas. We can take some educated guesses from there, and I think the main one that we have to take is that this race will be won on strategy and on pure race pace. You need to make sure that you've got the best of both worlds here, because it's so fast and so long. With such a short lap count, anything can happen. You can see graining on Bortcar's softs, so it's good that he made the pass when he did, but Marino is going to get attack mode here if Max isn't careful. Here they come through the detection point, and oh, Colby is out. Niven Colby out of the race. Engine failure for the Sims driver, and for Sims Motorsport, I don't think they're looking at points. Puncture for Tommy in the 45. To add insult to injury for the Revolution Racing team. Back of the pack. 5-second time penalty and a puncture. You could not get any more over than that. As Melsos Micah, the other Sims high-speed driver, as we now get back under the greens, he's now down to 20th, the last driver who's actually competing for any positions. Thanks to that caution period, Marino was not able to gain on Bortcar, but you all know who was. Dominic Hudson. He might be pitting here. You never know, 52%, so it's not clear. As you can see further ahead, Marino tries to make the move as Hudson's into the pits. Down the inside comes the pole sitter. Sends it down the inside on the reigning Drivers' Champion, and Mexico leads once again with Bob Marino for Maya Shank Racing. But now, as they've come out of the attack mode detection point, Bortcar's going to get it again. This is not one race that you're going to want to skip out on. Despite it being right after the title decider, Bortcar taking the lead. We can see a straight dogfight to the very end of this race. Arnes Eriksson struggling with those softs. He's got a knock queue behind him who's also struggling with his tires. So I don't think that it will be too much of an issue. We've seen Hudson come out of the pits on the mediums. Might be able to make it to the end. Sanchez is back out on the hards. If you do spend a stint on the hard compound tires, we believe you should be able to make it to the end of this race. So for Linus Eriksson, you might want to do that. For Bortcar, Marino, everyone in the top positions who's yet to stop, hard tyres might be a very valuable asset to you, if not the mediums. But it is very much a risk. Marino, he doesn't have attack mode. He's only trying to gain through the slipstream. And even then, once they make their way through the W section, it was 2 seconds they come out of it, and it's 1.5, 1.1, 1.3, and I believe both drivers will be pitting here. In they come. That's Bortcar and Marino both into the pits. Devin Butler will now lead this race. It's a 1-2 for the Penske team at half race distance. Ericsson moves up to P3. New mediums going on for Bob Marino, which might take him to the end of this race, but we're not confident on that. Not even Lewis Olsen. O'Quee goes on to some medium compound tires in Hyperdrive's last race before competing in both Formula E and INDYCAR. Work Loco on the back of his teammate. He is breathing down that fellow yellow Shell Pennzoil car's neck. Right there, you can see the Hungarian trying to close up to the Briton in front of him. Heading through that chicane. And you can see Ericsson too. He's close. Gasly and Catfish. Linus Ericsson, he's been linked to seats in Formula E with both Andretti and Power Motorsport. The likelihood is he will be moving to Andretti due to Power, of course, having a pretty stable development squad here in IndyCar, and compare that to Andretti, they just don't really have the same thing. Loco drops far off the back of his teammate. That's likely due to how worn his tyres are. By going up this long, you struggle in terms of the actual pace that you've got with your car, as Ericsson using attack mode to close up to the back of Wet Loco there. However, you will gain by the end of this race by the fact that you will have fresher tyres and the opportunity to do the one-stop. Loco gets passed by Ericsson as he now pits. Butler's also into the pits there. Or is he? No, Butler stays out. Loco stays out. Gasly comes in too. What tyres have McLaren got prepared for their new World Drivers' Champion? The second Drivers' Champion for McLaren in the ERL, and it's mediums. He will be doing the one-stop, considering the two Penske's, and oh, it's slow stop for Linus. Out of the pits he comes, and he's behind Pierre Gasly. Had to let the number 3 Power Motorsport driver go, and that is far from optimal. And for Max Bortcar, by the way, guys, up to 4th, and he's already breathing down the neck of Dominic Hudson. Lam Thong, 5-second time penalty for colliding with, we believe, Ray Shen. If not, it's Daf Sanchez he's hit. Reckless rookie driver in that Revolution Racing car, a lot like his team owner was for the first 5 seasons of his career. Of course, the team owner of Revolution Racing being Revo, now a 4-time World Drivers' Champion in Formula E, has never turned a lap in IndyCar. But Tommy's just set a fastest lap in one of his cars of 128.7. from the number 45 as he's trying to get himself back up the order. Hudson moves past Wet Loco there, and Loco having to slot back in a very inopportune place for the 29. He moves up into P3. That's Bortcar moving up into 3rd position. Will Devon finally pit? He does. Hudson will be leading on pace, but he might have to pit again. Whack Loco, he somehow managed 8 laps on those mediums. Carson Thornburg finally pits, and we've got a full course caution. It's Hudson! Dominic Hudson out of this race! And it's another engine failure here in Gateway. Our second full course caution of the day. And Linus Ericsson's been given a time penalty! Time penalty for Linus! Well, there goes his hopes of winning this race. He needs a wreckfest now. He's down in 16th after starting in 9th. To even get back to where he started, he needs to make up 7 positions over the course of the next 4 laps and build up a gap. Now, I don't deal with percentages that often. As you can see, Catfish getting past Akari. I don't deal with percentages often. However, this doesn't seem like a winning battle for the Swedish driver. He's already won the championship. Maybe going easy is what he needs to do, as Marino takes seconds from Wet Loco. And I think the Mexican driver could, and probably should, try and go for the win here. Lam Thong going side by side with Wet Loco. He's not racing him for position. And for the Hungarian, he's yet to make a pit stop, same as Shen and Akari. And those mediums are done with it. He's not making it to the end of this race with those tyres. I don't expect anyone else to either. This track ramping up in terms of wear very late on. And you can see it already as we ride on board with Daf Sanchez. He's got Wet Loco behind. Now into the pits comes that yellow submarine. Only a handful of laps left to run here in the ERL IndyCar Series' first race in Gateway St. Louis. And that's everyone having made their pit stops. Pit stops not mandatory, but our tyre supplier Firestone have done a very good job at basically making it the only feasible way of making it to the end. Marino is 5 seconds off the back of Max Bortkar here. Roughly 5. For the reigning Drivers' Champion. While his Season 3 hasn't been all that perfect, it's still been good enough to hand him the occasional bone, that occasional race win in that Andretti green machine. And I think that's Devin Butler going for the move on Sanchez. Yes, side-by-side action for 4th position. Almost hits the other Dutch driver in this field. Prix gets passed by Devin. This is going to be 3rd place for the British driver in the 71. It is Devin Butler up into 3rd position for Team Penske. And you can see Prix with attack mode. He's trying to get past Lam Phong here. Don't know if he'll be able to do it. He's going to have to brake super late into the chicane to even hold on to 4th, and he does, and he will, but he's not close enough to the back of Butler to even challenge the podium today. Meanwhile, talking about our reigning Drivers' Champion in new Drivers' Champion in Linus Eriksson. He's up into 14th right now. In comes Lam Phong, medium tires going on, but they're serving that time penalty. Catfish with the fastest 3rd sector of anyone looks for a move on Gabriel Lebargson in front. On board we go with car number 2 there. Tries to go alongside. He's having to force his way around the outside, and it's not going to work out. He's going to need attack mode here. He's going to get attack mode here, and he's going to have to try and build up a little bit of a gap to make sure that Lebargson can't get him back on that supremely long straight. And problems for Akari? No, he's just not had a good pit stop to our knowledge. And Devin's up into 2nd. Could Mr. Butler here take victory in Gateway in the final round of Season 3? Only time can tell us, because we are getting reports from some teams that they expect some large amounts of tyre wear here in the closing stages of this race. We've only got a handful of laps left to run here. As here comes Linus, goes side by side with Matty Medvec. It's 12th for the new Drivers' Champion, Armand Kriel, probably Rookie of the Season. As he makes his way up into 10th, we've got this supreme fight, dogfight for 6th position. Look at that from Catfish. Goes alongside with his fellow Formula E alumni from Season 1. Do we have drivers pitting? I don't know, but Butler is closing in on this penultimate lap. Devin Butler is now all over the back of Max Bortkar. There's a lot of blistering happening for the 71 crew. Carson Thornburg, up into 3rd position. Where is Max Bortkar? Where is Bortkar? He's leading. Never mind, I'm stupid. Marino. I was looking for Bob Marino, sorry. As Akari Lopez now sets a new fastest lap. 1:27.7. Brilliant stuff from the man currently stranded in 18th. And that's the race lead. Devin Butler leads in Gateway, Illinois. And what can the 71 do from here? He needs to get away from Max behind. We're hearing reports from Penske that they're not sure if their tyres are going to make it. I think they will. But the rate of wear that we're seeing is insane. Marino, 22%. What's Prix at? Running this turn, 22% as well. Catfish, 22%. I'm not confident on a lot of these drivers making it to the end. 21% for Gabriel Lebargson. As you can see, Wek Loco squirming all over the back of Linus Eriksson. As that's a slow-moving Inoq struggling with those tyres. 18% as Eriksson's now up into the top 10. He's going to have to mitigate that 5-second time penalty, however. He needs to get onto the back of the battle in front and possibly even push them further up the order. Bortkar's been passed by Thornburg as well. How is Max going to win this race? Because the man in front of him on the final lap has hit 25%. That's very dangerous, but they should be able to make it to the end. The two hyperdrive drivers down the inside tries to go Catfish. He's at 8%. This is not the perfect situation for many of these drivers. We could see no less than 5 drivers have a puncture on this final lap as Lam Phong, 5-second time penalty, causing a collision. And you can see further up, Thornburg now trying to close up to the back of Devin Butler. That's the fight for the lead. You can see now as well, Catfish, 3%, 2%, will catch up on those guys sooner or later. because this could be the race win for Thornburg, and Shen's off! Ray Shen in the barriers! Front wing off for the McLaren driver. Does he have a puncture? He doesn't. Not yet, but he's got a lot of wear. Unbelievable amounts of wear. Matty Medvec's at 3%, and Catfish is dropping down the order. He's got a puncture! Puncture for car number 2! Thornburg's dropping off the back of Devin Butler as they're onto the long main straight. Lebargson's got a puncture going through that turn as well. And it's Olsen too! Another driver hit with a puncture. It's like the Cars 2 camera gun. Who's also off? Lam Fong, 10-second time penalty. Hit the back of Kari there. And Q, he's got punctures too. So many drivers out of contention with this. But for Devin Butler, who hits 1% coming through the final turn, he's going to do it. He wins in Gateway from Thornburg and Bortkar with the top 2, all having punctures by the time they cross the line. Creel is going to come home with a magnificent 4th place and keep the celebrations going on if you're a rookie driver for WEC Loco. Ericsson comes home with a 6th place finish, and Gasly's got a puncture on the line, same as Daf Sanchez. Oh, Akari's been given a 5-second time penalty at the very end. My goodness, so many punctures come race's end. Marino's gone. Marino's doesn't have anything, nor does Queen, nor does Catfish, nor does Lebargson or Olsen, Medvec, and Q. But Tommy's got tyres to the end of this. Can he try and get some good positions here? I don't know. My oh my, punctures by the end of this race. That's everyone behind Mills Selsmaker with a puncture. That's half the grid. Half the grid came across the line with a puncture. Heck, not even half the grid. That's 12 of the drivers, because remember, Butler and Thornburg both crossed the line with punctures. Tommy managed to get a 17th there. But this is your podium. Devin Butler taking victory. The final round of the ERL INDYCAR Series 3 in front of Carson Thornburg and Max Bortkar. It was a valiant effort from the 29 crew, but unfortunately for them, just didn't quite work out. As for the rest of your finishes, you have Armand Creel, WEC Loco, Gasly, Ericsson. Gasly also with a puncture, so that brings the total up to 13. Ericsson, as previously mentioned, Micah, Sanchez, Akari Lopez, Lam Fong, Shen, Marino, Kui, Catfish, Lebargson, Tommy, Olsen, Yu, and Medvec, with Hudson and Colby both retiring due to issues with their powertrains, and both of them in Malaysia too. Here are your final driver standings. Linus Eriksson takes the Season 3 INDYCAR Championship from a long way in front of Niven Colby. That's a 54-point margin. That's the largest we've seen in INDYCAR history. Then it's Max Bortkar, Gabriel Lebargson, Carson Thornburg, Catfish, Devin Butler, Akari Lopez tied with Butler, and I think they'll give that to Devin for winning this race. Then Armand Creel, Matty Medvec, Dominic Hudson, O'Quee, Milsoff Micah, Daf Sanchez, Tommy, Bob Marino, Lam Fong, Ray Shen, Gasly, and Q in front of Lewis Olsen. So to take a look at our constructors, our McLaren SP are your Season 3 INDYCAR champions, being only the second team to win an INDYCAR championship and the second team to win both in INDYCAR and in Formula E. I was trying to say INDYCAR and Formula E at the same time, sorry. Second place was Apex Pinnacle, and they just managed to scrape some points in front of Chip Ganassi and AJ Foyt. Then Sims High Speed in 5th from Team Penske, and Andretti Green from Hyperdrive BBX, the last team on 100 points. Revolution Racing, Power Motorsport, and Maya Shank. Well then, it's been an amazing Season 3. We will be back with more ERL action for the final rounds of the 24th ERL Formula E Series before we head into that all-important 25th. But from all of us here at Sparkplug Motorsports, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time when the ERL returns.